Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of IGN's News, Games, and More. That is the show where we talk about all of those things. And oh boy, do we have a lot of news to discuss today. We might not even get to everything. I'm Max Scoville, and I'm joined today by Matt Kim, Casey DeFreitas, and Mark
Hello.
Medina.
Hello. What's up?
Howdy.
Now, obviously, the big, huge thing that everyone's talking about today is Super Mario All-Stars 3D World 2 Remastered Galaxy.
Let me tell you, Max, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I played them. I beat Mario
Okay,
64.
if we want to, if I'm gonna do a shameless plug here, Mark. You're gonna be streaming Mario 64 later tonight, right?
That's right.
Okay, so if you want to hear Mark talk about Mario 64, that'll happen later on IGN's Twitch.
We don't have time now. Yeah, IGN's Twitch, 7 p.m. If you guys want to talk about the Mario 3D collection, because everybody forgot that the embargo's up for that today as well.
But the
I'll
reason they
talk
forgot
about it then.
is because we got the big, huge PlayStation showcase from Sony. We know that the PlayStation 5 is coming out on November 12th in some territories. I have it in front of me somewhere. In US, Japan, Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, and South Korea. The US MSRP is $499.99 for the one that looks pregnant with the disc drive on it, and then $399 for the digital only one that looks like a normal console ish. What do you guys all make of this? Casey, start us off here.
Well, apparently pre-orders just went live on Walmart 20 minutes ago, and I've been preoccupied with that for the last 20
And
minutes.
Mark is saying they're on Best Buy too, so everyone's going to be
They're
kind
on
of
Best
checking their
Buy?
phones. Yeah, you might
Yeah,
want to check that too.
They're
Gosh.
bouncing all over the place.
Of course,
But-
Sony said officially
No
that they're supposed to go up
surprises!
tomorrow, but you know, just an early release. So if we seem distracted,
I've
that's
also
probably it.
heard that you can walk into a GameStop right now and pre-order one. Like, people are saying that they've been able to do that. So, but we're
All
here,
right.
so we don't get to do that.
Yeah, no, this is Oh man. Anyway,
I'm
One
sorry.
at a time. Hey, I actually have to get going. The show's
Yeah,
over,
like-
guys.
so anyway, clearly we're all kind of excited about this. It's a new console launch. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Matt, what was your takeaway of the big PlayStation 5 reveal?
Yeah, good price, good release date, good console.
Just a good maybe. It might
Yeah.
catch fire. We don't know yet. Well, I
It's
mean,
true. We're not sure
it's
about
been-
the quality of the console.
it's
but-
been a year. That wouldn't surprise me at this point.
yeah.
It might. It could.
Mark, you were very excited to be on the show. You're actually filling in for Seth Macy, who is handling all sorts of pre-order annotations and whatnot, and making sure we make money off of people's Amazon purchases or whatever.
Yeah, no, I thought the whole conference was really, really good, but specifically talking about just the price and stuff right now, it's actually exactly what I expected. 5.4. That's 100% what I expected. I thought it would come out a little earlier than the Xbox. So it's crazy that it's coming out 2 days after. But I had a feeling it would come out before Cyberpunk, and so that part was correct. Can I just say that the most infuriating thing about this is that there are two different splash screens, one with all the prices and one with the release date? What is going on? I don't like it. Why couldn't it just be one image?
That I don't know. That it's
Too many numbers.
Yeah, that's too much to
confusing.
read.
It most
scares
definitely
people.
is not too many.
It's too many numbers. Too many notes and too many numbers.
Anyway,
Yeah,
let's.
super excited.
This is exciting. We also got kind of a partial launch lineup from Sony Interactive Entertainment, which includes. This is not the entire launch lineup. This is just the sort of first party stuff that they're putting out. So day one, this one I like. I feel like the days of getting pack-in games has kind of come and gone, but we are actually going to get Astro's Playroom pre-installed on PS5, which is nice.
It did look fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's super cute. People really love the VR version. I actually still haven't really messed with that properly, but this looks like a cute little, free game, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah,
also,
no, I think it looks really cool.
yeah, it's no Mario 64 All Stars Galaxy Sunshine Unlocked or whatever. But
Sure
then of
isn't.
course there's Demon Souls from Blue Point in Japan Studio. There's some confusion over this and whether or not it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Matt, can you talk about this for a minute?
Yeah, I know we're mostly talking about Sony first-party stuff, but it also happened with Final Fantasy XVI, which got surprise announced today. But in both those
Mhm.
cases, at the very end of the reveal trailer, you can see small print underneath like the PlayStation 5 logo that says something to the tune of like also coming to PC or timed exclusive on PC for now or something like that. And everybody saw it. We were all like, oh, that's cool, and so we wrote up our news stories about it. And then after the show, we were contacted separately by Square Enix and Sony to ask us politely to change the wording because those were apparently made in error. At least in Demon Souls' case, it was a human error for the PC, for any mention of PC release for Demon Souls. And Square Enix just said they told us officially via a spokesperson that no announcements have been made for any other console release outside of PlayStation 5 for Final Fantasy 16. And so I mean that's their official stance, so we had to change it. So as of now, they were never officially confirmed for PC, but there was mention of a PC release. But now both of those games are no longer associated with a PC launch.
Interesting. There's one thing worth pointing out is the big sort of showcase opened with the Final Fantasy 16 reveal. Very exciting. Lots of cool hair and monsters,
belt buckles,
and
chocobos, man.
Just lots of very fantasy, which is nice. A lot of people really missed that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But then immediately after that, we got this graphic that was like everything from this point forward is captured on actual PlayStation 5 hardware, which would suggest that the Final Fantasy 16 was running on a PC dev build, probably.
Yeah, they said it was PC built to emulate PS5, so not an emulator, but like same specs and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean they make games using PCs. Like it would be fun to do it in Dreams, but I think it would take a lot longer. So, and then we also got Destruction All Stars, which is that cool kind of Twisted Metal meets Fortnite looking Destruction Derby game that was shown off last time around. Let's see, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be available at launch, which is nice. The Miles Morales. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, also Miles Morales and Horizon Forbidden West in this weird thing where all of a sudden we now know that those are also PlayStation 4 games, like which we didn't know before this, so that's really weird.
I didn't know. I thought that was the case for Miles Morales. I didn't know that was the case for the New Horizon.
Sure is.
I think that one's definitely like a different conversation because people got mad at Xbox for being like, oh, you're launching brand new next gen games, but they're also cross platform. Like, does that mean that the current hardware is holding back the next gen development, or what does that mean? And I think that's a fair question. Like on the one hand, it's awesome that more people get to play Miles Morales, and like it's going to be like that's going to be a huge selling game, and that's great. But also they're using it to sell PS5, which is it's kind of weird to be like, oh, if you can play it on PS4, then what's the
point?
Well,
they said in their blog that they know that the rate of adoption for the PS5 is going to differ across all of its consumers. There's going to be people who want the PS5 at launch, and there are going to be people like me, for example, who might wait a couple months pick up PS5.
I mean, I'm jealous at this point of people who skip the PS4 because like you're getting. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, you're getting. It seems like a pretty good setup, but also like I don't know, like the longer you wait to jump into a console, like the more choice you have, which is overwhelming but also awesome. And then of course, in addition to Miles Morales, there's also Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, which includes a remastered version of the 2018 Spider-Man. Was that 2018, 2019? When did that game come out? 2018?
2019.
19.
Because 18 was God of War. I don't think they came out the same year, did they?
Sorry, it's just because I mean 2020 has been 46 months long so far, so it's hard to keep track. But Death Stranding came out less than a year ago. How effed up is that, right?
What?
Yeah.
So then Spider-Man was definitely 2018 then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the same year as God of War, because that year.
Same year as God of War.
That was a good year.
It was a good year.
But anyway,
back to 2018.
that would be fun.
Wasn't that the year Monster Hunter came out too? Monster Hunter World? That was a great year. Let's go back then.
Anyway, excuse me, sorry. So the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, which includes the base game, but also the Miles Morales thing, and it's both of the Spider-Men are in there. That's out launch as well if you don't want to, if you didn't play the first one. And then there's Sackboy, a big adventure. And the thing that's interesting about this, and definitely cause for raising an eyebrow, is Demon Souls, Destruction All Stars, the Ultimate Edition of Spider-Man are all MSRP of $69.99, which
Nice.
once you get past the nice price, is actually kind of not a nice price. That kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you all feel about $70 games? Do you think that's the future and the thing we're going to have to deal with, Casey?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, games have been $60 since I've been purchasing games, and when I say I've been purchasing, I mean my parents have been purchasing for me back in the Nintendo 64 era, and that was a long time ago, and I think just by the law of inflation, games should have gotten more expensive before now if we're going to go off the price of other daily needs like rent and milk. And I think I think the way to gauge inflation is by getting your basic necessities like eggs, milk, and bread, and then basing it off that. And based on that, video games should be more expensive. Am I happy about it? No. But is it reasonable? Logically, I guess yes. So
Yeah, I was gonna say all the same things. Like, I'm surprised it's really been this long. Like, obviously they found other ways to be able to get money out of consumers, but the fact that games have been $60 for as long as they have is actually pretty shocking. And the fact that it's only going up $10, like, yeah, I mean, it sucks. Every time you buy 6 games, you could have had a seventh, but exactly, the laws of inflation kind of demanded this eventually, and so I'm super not surprised to see it.
Matt?
Counterpoint, I think they should lower rent prices and video game prices.
I agree with that.
No, I think this is the Sony first party being $70 is probably the first indication that this is not going to be just a case by case basis, but probably an across the board change. I know some of the other announcements, like 2K or Take Two, went out with NBA 2K and announced that that's going to be $70. And that sort of seemed to be just their case. But then Ubisoft came out and was like, well, for the fall releases that we have, Valhalla and Watch Dogs 3, we're going to price them at the current price. But that left the door open for future games because they only said for this upcoming slate of games, we're going to keep with the $60 price tag. But that's business speak for like, but if we changed our minds later on, that's we didn't say we weren't, right? So I think Sony just being like, no, all of our first party games are now $70 is like a clear indication that this is going to be a wider trend, not just like a publisher by publisher basis.
Yeah, this is, I think, definitely a long time coming. I think games were standard like $50 up until the beginning of the 360 generation, I think, right? Like that was when
I'm trying to remember if it was PS2 or like PS3, Xbox 360. That may have been the jump, from 50 to
the
60.
PS3 360 era was when games became $60 over $50.
Okay, so I got that wrong.
Yeah, well, N64 games were frequently like nonsense prices because Nintendo would just make up whatever the hell they wanted. They'd be like, "Oh, you want Croc 64? That's $75." Like,
let's not forget that
yourself.
Super Mario World was like $90 when it came out. That was in the 90s.
No, it's crazy. Like, I mean, video games are they're a luxury thing. Like they're incredibly, it's an expensive hobby. You're buying, specialized computer equipment to play cutting edge audiovisual interactive experiences, and it's also never been cheaper. Like the fact that I don't know, you probably have a device that could run Fortnite, and that's one of the biggest games in the world. Like we get stuff like Apex, which is just straight up free. Like we used to have free to play games, and it was like Maple Story, like it was like a.
I lost my childhood to Maple Story. All right, that shit.
I thought you were gonna say something very different there.
Maple Story is great. Absolute time sink.
No, I mean, but I was playing like the like bad Flash games on Newgrounds back in the day, and like pirating NES ROMs or whatever. Like it's, and I feel like now it's cheaper than ever. I see a lot of people in the chat talking about how brand new Xbox games are free through Game Pass, which is huge, and I think also kind of exemplifies how different Microsoft's approach to this next generation is from Sony's. But the big thing they're both doing is trying to get people into their respective ecosystems, which I think is kind of interesting to look at.
Yeah, I was talking with Jonathan and the rest of the news team regarding the price, and it was funny because it was like first-party Sony games are now $70, whereas first-party Microsoft games or Xbox games can technically be as cheap as $15.
Yeah, a month.
Right. Yeah.
And there is someone in chat, Reds Nation, does bring up a good point. Like most games are $100 because of season passes or DLC now, and like they're not wrong. If you want the whole experience, it'll probably end up costing you that amount in the long run. But I think a lot this isn't true for all games, but for a lot of games, it is a full experience without the DLC, and then you're paying for a a lot more hours than you're getting originally. Like, for example, like with Monster Hunter World, the expansion of Iceborne was basically a whole other game that you're just adding onto it. So, uh, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, when
$100.
you think of games like Spider-Man and God of War, like those are games that were $60 and like that's what they were. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, Spider-Man ended up having DLC, but like, God of War is a $60 game that you could buy and you have everything. Versus Avengers, where you have to be a DoorDash customer to be able to get some costumes and stuff, and it's a
Or
mess. It's a
for
mess
Destiny
out
2, you have to have Amazon Prime, so you get Twitch Prime, so you get the free stuff.
there.
I'm
I'm
seeing some people in
hopeful.
the chat say that we might be a little bit glitchy. I'm sorry, it's because we're excited about the new video game systems. I don't know what to
We're
tell
all
you.
trying to pre-order a PS5 while
Yeah,
doing this
while we're
show.
on the streams.
There it is.
I'm not gonna lie, I keep refreshing GameStop's page because they
No
tweeted that
one,
they're
you're.
live.
You
Yeah,
slowed
they
I
down
was
did,
a
and
bit.
they're
joking,
not.
but I actually think that might actually be an issue.
Um, so this
And
is
Best Buy is just completely broken. It's just we're sorry something went wrong. I can't
It's
get it
just
to work.
gone downhill. It's all going downhill.
So this is let's talk about this for a second. The $70 price tag thing is especially with Sony first party stuff. And I'm not saying this to
Mhm.
justify, but it is kind of interesting to think about. The fact that a PlayStation 5 digital edition is $400 is kind of crazy to think about. And I would assume that Sony is not making as much of a profit on that as they would probably want to. But if
Mhm.
you're buying a digital only edition, you're probably not going to be getting any like games on sale unless they put them on sale. So if a game
Yeah.
for your digital edition is $70, you're paying $70. There's no situation where, Amazon's got it on sale for 45. Which I ran into this recently. I just bought I really wanted to play Dark Souls 3 because I love Bloodborne. I never played it when it came out. And I went on, I was like, I'll go on PSN. It came out like 3 years ago. It's got to be $10. And I go in there and it was full on $60. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to play that. I went on Amazon
Mhm.
and a brand new boxed copy of the base game, not even the, game of the year version, was like $13 or $14 shipped.
Mhm.
And that was a no-brainer there. But like Sony wasn't making any money off of me buying the the boxed copy that came out in 2018 or 17 or whatever, which is
Right.
a thing. It's a thing to think about. And I think like uh I mean, a lot of people are switching to digital because it is like really convenient. We saw a breakdown of Sony's sort of where their money was coming from over the last fiscal quarter, year, or whatever, and so many more people jumped on digital. I think especially with sort of the quarantine stuff and COVID stuff, where like, do you really want to go to the store and you know have people breathing in your face, or do you want to just like push a button and preload something that comes out day and date? Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I think the
Yeah.
fact that they lowered the price on the console that's digital only, and then they're like, oh, and by the way, the games are a little bit more. So like, if you you get a $400 console, but if you buy 3 games at $70 a pop on digital only, and Sony's getting all of the profit from that, maybe you just
Mhm.
bought a $550 console.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing is I was talking to a friend before we went live I was kind of just thinking like, well, it kind of depends on how much $100 means to you. If you need to save the money there to get a $400 console at the start, I do kind of believe that it will eventually end up costing more. GameStop has deals all the time, as long as they stay in business, where it's
Mhm.
like, buy 2 used games, get one free. Target always has that really good deal where it's buy 2 games, get one free. And those are all deals that you're just completely locked out of seemingly forever if you go digital only. You're only stuck on their store. And so it's pretty limiting. So I kind of feel like you're saving $100 up front.
Mhm.
But for the lifespan of the console, you could end up paying more.
Yeah, and I like having discs. I mean, we are in a unique I brought this up before on the show, but we're in a unique situation where normally we have an office where occasionally there are extra copies circulating in the office in disc form. And to be able to take
Mhm.
advantage of that, we would need obviously a disc drive. And I mean, I've shared discs with friends as well, and you can't really do that with digital copies. So you save money from that as well.
Mhm.
And I know like
Mhm.
things like Gamefly and Redbox aren't as prevalent as they were before, but that was a nice service as well that would save you money in the long run.
You know what
We
I
got a
realized?
comment. Oh,
Oh,
can I do the comment thing?
No, yeah, please, absolutely.
ZX Universe on YouTube says, does IGN know any Pro version of the PS5, or is it only 2? It's only 2, and it's technically one model, just with or without the disc drive. It's pretty much the same exact guts. It's just whether or not it has that little, CD-ROM baby bump. Did we lose a stream?
I don't know if we froze. Red?
Did we freeze? I think we froze. Did Red die?
Oh no, Red.
We're fine.
Oh,
okay.
we're fine.
We're just weird.
Red
weird
says
here.
we're fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, no, that's. I think eventually we'll probably get like a mid console launch cycle, PS5 Pro or whatever. But that's not happening anytime soon because they want people to buy the regular version.
I have a very important comment that I want to read from Daryl Papa. Can you play Monster Rancher 1 on the PlayStation 5? Probably not, but they should. You should be able to. And hey, without a disc drive, you won't be able to summon those monsters like you could in the old days. So that's another reason why you need a disc drive. Summon monsters in Monster Rancher.
Do you ever play games that don't have the word monster in the title in some form?
I play Monster Hunter, Pokemon, Monster Ranch. No. Oh my god.
Pocket monsters.
You make a game with monster in the title, Casey will play it.
I love it.
Yeah.
We did get let's talk about some games.
She canceled her Gods and Monsters pre-order immediately. She's like, I'm out.
I'm out.
With this game.
Phoenix Rising, no, thank you.
Yeah, Christopher Johnson says, what is your opinion on Five Nights at Freddy's security breach? And my first thought on that was that somebody hacked Five Nights at Freddy's, but that's a game that they just announced today. Let's talk about some games. Talking about price points and business stuff is baloney. Are any of you into Five Nights at Freddy's?
No. I mean, those games the first one scared the crap out of me, so I stopped playing them. But they're good. They're fun.
Oh, it's way too creepy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like jump scares and or animatronic Chuck E. Cheese puppets, so I'm cool on that. But that's one of the many games that we got that got shown off. You want to talk? What does everyone? Let's go around. What does everyone want to talk about? Casey?
Well, we already talked about Final Fantasy 16. I think when they were first. Yeah, we already talked about it, so that's.
We could talk about it some more. It's going to be a 70-hour RPG probably.
I have lots of thoughts about 16. I'm so excited.
It's back to fantasy, and it kind of the vibe reminded me of Final Fantasy 14 online, and I'm stoked for that. So, I mean, I love Final Fantasy 14 online. So to go back to the kind of vibe that game gives off is awesome. So I'm really really looking forward to that. But as far as everything else that they showed, I'm super excited for God of War Ragnarok.
I was gonna say I'll talk about some God of War if you guys want.
Yeah, we can talk about
Casey, I have some good news though. Final Fantasy 16 is being overseen by Naoki Yoshida's development division within Square Enix.
Oh,
so the Final Fantasy 14 director is serving as a producer, and his little fiefdom within Square Enix is developing it. So if there's gonna be a lot of Final Fantasy 14 in 16. That's the reason, and I'm so
awesome.
excited.
It's really cool. And for those of you who might not be familiar with it, Final Fantasy XIV originally did not do well and was not critically received well. And then Yoshida-san's team basically saved it. They reworked it entirely, which is why it's called A Realm Reborn. And now it's probably the best MMORPG I've ever played. It is amazing.
If your friends won't shut up about getting you to play Final Fantasy 14, 16 will probably have a lot of 14 DNA in it. So if you're like, no, I only play single player linear campaign Final Fantasy games, I'd be excited for 16 only because of the relation it has to 14's development team.
I'm torn on this because I really like the weird, overly stylized I guess sort of pseudo fantasy. I like the diesel punk, or I loved 15 because it was so weird. I played that entire game as a prince with a giant sword who was wearing a snowboard jacket. It was completely it was magical realism, whereas this is just straight magical, which is cool. It looks gorgeous. The combat looks a ton like FF15, and I'm also really excited that it says 2021, which is good news because I feel like there's been pretty much a long-running theme of Final Fantasy games getting released and then or announced, and then it being a good chunk of time until they actually come out.
Like literally a decade.
The
Yeah.
2021 date's actually for when Square Enix says it's the next big info dump for 16, not a release date.
Are you wait, no,
Oh.
what?
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
in the
Actually,
blog,
yeah, Matt is right. So let's not get
20
too hyped.
Why did
yeah,
it say
20
2020? Am I crazy? It said 2021 at the end of the
Yeah,
trailer. Why would
2021 is when in the blog they're like 2021 is when we'll have the next big like info session for 16.
Wow. Well, I
That's
missed
not how
that.
trailers work. You don't say like next trailer coming soon. You put the release date of the thing, and if you don't know it, you be vague about it.
Sorry,
I'm
man.
cross.
Oh,
Yeah, Matt, what the hell, man?
All right. All right. So I'm looking forward to playing that on my PlayStation 5 Pro in 2027 or whatever. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
hey, the ZX Universe asks, what do we think about the Hogwarts new game? That looked cool. What is that face, Matt? What is that face you're making?
I don't
I got
really
z-
care about Harry Potter, and so I
I
know
got
that
Not
that's like
I
a
got zero
I'll
opinion about
talk about Harry Potter with you, Casey. I'm so sick of being on shows where like I'm the only person who wants to talk about Dragon Ball Z or Yakuza and like frequently Harry Potter. I will totally talk about Hogwarts Legacy with you.
I mean,
Let's-
we can talk about the game without talking about the creator, right?
Oh, it's
Yeah,
not
so
even.
that's
I
Totally
just
get you
like
100% can.
it was what day before yesterday, like R.I.P. J.K. Rowling was
Yeah.
trending. Not because
Yep.
she
Yeah.
died, but because everyone's like, oh, we don't like her.
yeah.
'Cause she's
I mean,
a
Yeah.
creator
transgender asshole.
aside, I was never a huge Potter guy,
Okay.
anyways. But yeah,
Oh, I thought this game looked really cool and interesting and fun. Like, I don't know, it looks like you get to make your own character and go through Hogwarts. That sounds cool. Don't
I
have
mean,
to
we
live
got
through
that.
Harry's BS.
Yeah, I honestly like I as much as I want to meet familiar characters, I'm kind of cool with it cutting its own, its own
Mhm,
path.
mhm.
Mhm.
It's also I think about this a lot. The Harry Potter is it's kind of like if the X-Men were Amish because like those dudes are all stuck like they're, they have like carriages and like they're pulled by magic, but they're still like they can't get cell phones, like they can't get computers. There's all this nonsense in there where like maybe the muggle way of doing it is a little more advanced or like safer, but instead they're
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Mm.
like they gotta lug around cauldrons. It's like, dude, get a
get it,
Pyrex dish. Like
get an instant pot.
yeah,
Well,
right?
can
Like
can
sort
you
it out.
hack a cauldron though?
What?
You can't. I don't know. Like you can hack.
It's a
Maybe
weird
you
sentence.
I mean,
you
that's
can
again,
hack
that's
computers
yeah.
and stuff, but you probably can't hack
I'm
cauldrons.
not
So
saying there should be hacking in Harry Potter. I just mean like it's kind of like ludicrous that they're just
Mhm.
like, "Oh no, a car." And
Yeah.
it's like we do have flying cars. They're called planes, dude. Like you fly around on broomsticks. That sounds awful. If you're up in the sky, you're gonna freeze to death.
Yeah. It's weird that they have to ask a ghost for historical facts when they can just Google it, but they don't because Google doesn't exist in
So
Wizard
yeah.
World.
But anyway, this game circumvents that because it's set in the late 1800s, so it's like it's
Oh,
the
I didn't
olden
know that.
days. Like look at that, they've got like brand new brooms, but they're still brooms. Like they're it's
Ah.
this they you because you can't really do much more with a
what
broom aside from making it out of plastic or metal or whatever.
what was it, like the Firebolt 5000 or something? It's been a while since I've read those books.
Yeah, it was the
Mhm.
Nimbus
Actually,
2000 of Firebolt. He gets yeah.
I am more interested now that I know that it's set in like the 1800s. That's actually neat.
I'm
I
I'm
didn't know that.
curious to see what they had, but also it's funny because we got that massive chunk of gameplay that leaked a few years ago,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I thought was going to be a game that, I mean, it's still very possible this is a cross-gen game, but it's definitely coming to PlayStation 5 for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, Harry Potter, everybody, or not Harry Potter. I guess it's Hogwarts Legacy, brought to you by Portkey Games. Get it? Because a portkey is a magical device that if you touch it, it takes you to someplace else, like picking up a DualSense controller for your PlayStation 5. Anyway,
I get it.
yeah. What game do you want to talk about the most?
I love the idea that the very essence that God of War 2 or whatever Ragnarok is a thing kind of spoils the end, a really cool thing at God of War 1, but that's kind of like the nature of the beast. Eventually you got to move on. That said, there was two things I've been talking about, like I've been streaming on IGN and stuff, and I'm like, where are these Final Fantasy 16 and God of War rumors coming from? There's no way either of those games are going to be there. And then they were both there. So that's really incredible. Obviously, God of War not really there. Can we talk about the lack of Horizon Forbidden West though? Man,
Yeah.
that was real sad.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see more from that game. But it is what it is.
So-
It was a good conference regardless.
We're seeing some rumblings that that's going to be cross-gen or PS4 game as well, which
Yeah,
people
Horizon.
are-
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. That's I guess that makes me less interested or less excited for it. Like it'll be definitely
It,
gorgeous on PlayStation 5, but I'm just sort of worried that it's going to be like it'll have some sort of legacy systems to it. Um
yeah,
or
it's
that
always
like
this thing
structurally, you know.
where, yeah, Horizon Forbidden West looks like this because it's like Miles Morales is obviously this, kind of Lost Legacy spinoff of Spider-Man. So you kind of just expected it to be in the same engine and all that stuff. So it coming to PS4 doesn't really surprise me at all. But Horizon Zero Dawn came out early 2017. So you expected that they were making this game basically for PlayStation 5. So then the thoughts that this beautiful huge open game is going to also be able to run on your 2013 PlayStation 4 does kind of make you, I'm not going to say lose excitement over it, but it's like, okay, this is like probably not as gorgeous as it could have been, but it's still so early in PS4's life or PS5's life cycle. Like
Mhm.
it hasn't even begun
I mean,
that those games will come.
we're not gonna get the truly impressive games until the new Unreal Engine releases. I mean, that demo we saw a couple of months ago was incredibly impressive, but that's not going to be available to even be used by developers until early 2021. So we're probably not gonna see any games with the new fancy sparkly engine until next holiday season, I'm
Mhm.
assuming. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't presume to know exactly how games are put together. They're immensely complicated beasts, and they're totally at the mercy of the hardware they're running on. But I remember
Mhm.
playing Yakuza 0, which is a phenomenal game. It's also on Game Pass. If you have that, you should go check it out. It's really fun. But that was initially a PS3 game that eventually got ported to PS4, and there were like weird sort of just holdovers. Like there were load screens at weird times and things that just didn't really
Mhm.
feel. They didn't feel like they were of the PlayStation 4 generation. They felt more, they were reminiscent of what you would run into
Mm.
on last gen. And I don't know where that comes down to like actual hardware versus how the game is constructed or how it like allocates resources. So that's something to consider is because if the game is being um, predominantly made with PS4 in mind and then just like upscaled and upresed and kicked in the
Mhm.
ass to run on PS5, then does that make it a PS5 game? I guess is the question.
The
Yeah,
Halo
that's
Infinite
always the
question.
question. Yeah, that's always the question. Like, is the game made for older hardware and then beefed up to run better, or is it made for newer hardware and then toned down to work on the,
yeah.
who knows, right?
I
I'm
mean,
sure it's case by case.
we're even getting like Immortals Phoenix Rising. I still like Gods and Monsters is a name better. But Immortals Phoenix Rising is coming out for
We know you do.
PlayStation 5 and Xbox One X, but it's also coming out for the Nintendo Switch and not the
Mhm.
Pro version that is rumored to come out early next year. So I'm like side eye to
Uh-huh.
that. Like I'm kind of confused. I mean, they could like games like Witcher 3 and
Mhm.
gosh, The Outer Worlds. Um, have problems running on the Switch, so how is a PS5, Xbox One X game going to play on the Switch? And I'm no hate on the Switch, I love the Switch, but, like,
That's
Technically,
definitely
Doom
that's a
Eternal still
big
supposed to
divide.
come to
Yeah.
Switch.
yeah, it is.
That's gonna be a thing. I mean, thinking back to last console generation, it was a much different scenario because the PS3 was infamously more complicated and sort of proprietary to program for, whereas the jump between 360 and Xbox One was less of a thing, but you were still looking at like a much more drastic, I think, hardware leap. Um,
Mhm.
and I remember looking at side by sides of like the maybe not launch games, but like early games. Like Call of Duty Ghosts came out on, that came on out on what is now current gen and then on the previous gen as well. And looking at them side by side, you'd be like, yeesh. And then as you kind of get further along, it's straight up they're basically developing, different games in tandem. I think there was one game, I want to say it was Advanced Warfare. It might have been maybe Black Ops 3, but it was put out on last gen, and the differences were just like hilarious. Where like in one version you go and you're like, whoa, it's like a futuristic laundromat. Look at all the detail and like look at all the crap everywhere. It's like totally been wrecked by this advanced warfare going on. And then you look at the last gen version, it's just like a bunch of rectangles and like it's like just really not phoned in, but like it was like a kind of
I actually
cartoon.
know the exact screenshot you're
You know what
talking
I'm talking about? Yeah, yeah.
about. Yeah,
That was hilarious.
100%. Yeah. I think it was Advanced Warfare.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah.
Watch Dogs 1 on 360.
Ooh,
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um
By the way, I am reading the chat for everyone in YouTube chat, and for those of you who are just joining, Sony PlayStation 5 will be $500 for the version with the disc drive and $400 for the digital-only version. It's coming out on November 12th, and for those of you saying that we were lying about Walmart pre-orders, we're not lying. They were up.
We're definitely not lying.
Here is my page with my
And there's Casey's
thing.
credit card number. You can just write that
No.
down.
No. It doesn't have any of that. It just says it just has the arrives. I don't know.
What is
can't
it?
see it, but
I don't know if you guys saw. It was like a little before the show started, but Walmart's Twitter account even said that they were putting up PS5 pre-orders early. They're like, Sony says you have to wait, but we don't play by the rules. Winky face emoji. At Walmart.
Wait, did they
the Twitter
seriously do
Yeah,
that?
check it out. It's hilarious.
that's
The
really good.
Walmart Twitter account was just like, we're rule breaking right now. Check
No,
out
the
PS5 pre-orders.
the real rule breakers are Walmart Canada. Like I always love how like every E3 they would
Oh
just
my
come out.
gosh.
Like Bethesda would like give them a shout out
Yeah.
in their conferences.
Pete Hines is just like, thank you,
Yeah.
Walmart Canada.
Yeah, exclusive Walmart Canada world premiere. What does the chat want to talk about? Do they
Yeah,
do they
chat,
have
what do you guys
anything?
want to talk about?
I don't know. They'll figure it out. Okay.
Oh, here it is. Hold on, I found it. They literally tweeted, "Make you wait to get the new hashtag PlayStation 5 question mark? Nah, that's not like us. Go on, pre-order it now."
Walmart, what the heck?
Wow.
And
Yeah,
I'm
Walmart
still
has powerful energy.
I'm
They
also
don't.
and did they make the dominoes start falling over and making Best Buy and GameStop go live with theirs too? By the way, I was never able to get GameStop or Best Buy's page to work for me.
So yeah, neither Best Buy nor GameStop works, but one of the people on my team just sent a picture to our Slack of him holding a receipt from GameStop. He drove to GameStop and was able to pre-order one.
Oh
in the
my
year of
gosh.
Wrap it up,
2020,
boys.
a
Let's
physical
go.
store.
He went
Good
to a
Lord.
store.
Yeah,
I
Adverse 7 in
actually-
the chat says 540.17 was my total at Walmart, and then a bunch of explosion emojis, which kind of made it a fun thing to read.
I do actually prefer pre-ordering consoles for physical Best Buy locations. Hot tip for everyone. I
yeah.
usually don't have a problem with that. Like, go to your local. I guess this was also easier for me when I was living in like a random town in Florida and not a big city. But
I live in a random town.
Dude,
I would love to go.
I mean, I
Physical
feel
at your
like we all have some sort of like these like, oh, if you pat your stomach twice, you're guaranteed a pre-order for a console or something like that. But I do find that I had better experience pre-ordering consoles from Best Buy versus like.
It looks like
other
Target just got them
retailers.
too. If you want to go check Target, if anyone's watching.
Sure. I don't know.
I'm on
I'm
it.
on the show.
I'm
I'm
on it.
stuck here. I can't pre-order anything. I want to pre-order
Daniel,
one.
Daniel
I
Wright
can't-
just says, Max and Crew, do you think backwards compatibility is possible? Seems like it's not a thing since they didn't confirm.
I thought it was. I thought backwards compatibility for the PS5 was
Up
confirmed
until
for
the PS4.
They're being like cagey about it, and I think that
Yeah.
comes down to this funky new hard drive they're dealing with, and how like it again, it's sort of going back to Sony. Sony loves proprietary stuff, which is it's understandable because they're like, fun fact about Sony, way back in the days of transistor radios, Texas Instruments invented I believe, silicon chip that allowed you to make a transistor radio instead of having a vacuum tube in it. And rather than just being like, we'll take a whole bunch of those transistors and plug them into our radios, they were like, can we license that from you and build our own transistors using that plan? And that wound up being the first product that blew up from Sony worldwide. Like they sold these little radios that were like super popular. And that was with their own design. And then you sort of see this throughout the years where I think it was Sony and Philips worked together to develop the CD-ROM or the CD. Then they also have stuff like the UMD or the Memory Stick Duo, which isn't necessarily like really a hit, but like occasionally they'll come out and they'll be like, yeah, we made the PlayStation 3. It's got the best cell architecture you could possibly imagine. And everyone's like, we don't want to make stuff for that. And they're like, all right, never mind. Here's the PlayStation 4. It's basically a PC. But now they're coming around again and they're like, we reinvented the hard drive. And it's like, that's awesome. But also like, is that going to work? Is that going to click? Or is it going to become a huge pain in the ass for people to deal with compared to every other kind of hard drive out there? We'll kind of have to wait and see. Sorry, that was a tangent. But to go back to the whole backwards compatibility thing, cool. One thing that we do know is that they announced that there's going to be the PlayStation Plus collection. So anybody who gets a PlayStation 5 at launch, signs up for PlayStation Plus, will get access to a massive, massive library of some of PS4's best games. kind of hilariously it doesn't have Spider-Man on there because they want you to go out and buy the Ultimate Miles Morales edition, but it does have God of War and Bloodborne and Uncharted and Monster Hunter and just tons and tons of games, which is kind of huge. If you go out and buy a new box and you're like, I never had a PS4, what do I play? And they're like, here you go.
Yeah.
It's like a more streamlined version of Nintendo bringing every Wii U game to the Switch.
Also cheaper, like a way cheaper way to do that, you know. I mean, that seems like their kind of answer to Game Pass, which is funny because PlayStation Plus was sort of the precursor to games with gold, and then Microsoft came out with Game Pass, which admittedly is like way more impressive than what Sony's doing. And then they're just sort of like, well, here's our Game Pass. It's games you may already own, but if you don't own them, here you go. Yeah. I think that's a sort of a hint at what we can expect from backwards compatibility. I think it's going to take maybe a little more retooling and tweaking to get, last gen games running on a PS5, but it doesn't seem impossible based on that. Just Human Thing says, will Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach be on Xbox Series X? That's a good question. I didn't see anything about that being exclusive.
That one I didn't see. Yeah, anything like that.
Yeah,
sure.
I would not comment on any games about like cross compatibility or any such. But as we have seen from the Final Fantasy XVI weirdness, unclear.
Yeah,
unclear which
it's
of these
like you
games
have
are.
to assume so, but
Yeah, who knows.
Okay, so we have 4,800 people watching. I feel like we probably should keep talking about PlayStation 5. There is other news we could talk about. Another $400 white high-tech thing got announced today, which was the Oculus Quest 2, which is a new... I have the old one here. I just bought this one, and they put out the new one for the same price with more power and better resolution. So now I got to find out what to do with this.
Oh, no.
Piece of shit.
And it's cheaper too, isn't it?
Yeah, no, like I feel like that's such a complete, like, they did not take a page from how, like, you know, when Apple does that thing where they're like, there's a new iPhone coming out and it's $1,200 and it's better than your current iPhone, and now you hate your current iPhone. But good news, if you didn't buy that last current iPhone because it was too expensive, that's cheaper. Instead, Oculus was like, for the same price as the thing you may have bought 2 months ago, you can have a better version of that and feel dumb about yourself. I'm like, okay, well, I don't even know how to trade that. And nobody's going to want to buy. It's a headset. Nobody's going to want to buy a thing I put on my face in 2020.
Not now.
Well,
what's cool about it is what they announced a Splinter Cell game and an Assassin's Creed game. That's for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's cool depending on who you ask. If you ask someone who has waited for a long time for a new
wanted
Splinter
a real
Cell game.
Splinter Cell game.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. So that got me right. People are like, "Oh, I want a real Splinter Cell game," but I think, as we've seen with games like Half-Life Alyx, VR games are now real games. They're just harder to play. So there's a chance that Splinter Cell, if they go all Half-Life Alyx on it, like that would be a cool Splinter Cell game. But if you want someone who was like, I want another third-person, stealth action game that I can play on my PS5 or something, then yeah, they're gonna be disappointed.
I've been saying this for like probably 4 or 5 years. Whenever the PSVR had been out for a year, we're finally getting real VR games that are like full-fledged and not just kind of motion-controlled shovelware in VR. But no, between like Ubisoft throwing a couple of their bigger AAA franchises on Oculus and what is it? Medal of Honor Above and Beyond is getting
I forget what it's called. But the game looks cool. You have arms.
Yeah, it's great. You just go just like they did in World War II, authentic arm waving.
Exactly how they did it back in the day.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like I think the Quest is really interesting, which is why I bought one for a price I now regret paying because I could have had the cool. Anyway, sorry. But like that's getting dedicated games, and it has they've got like I feel like it's definitely moved on from being those little like interactive experiences. But I wonder when we're going to hear about the PlayStation VR 2 or Revision 2 or whatever the hell that is, or really anything about how the PlayStation VR plays with the PlayStation 5. Like we haven't heard a peep.
Yeah, that's the big question. Like, are you going to be able to they seem to be pushing all of these new really, really white accessories. And so it's kind of weird to think that you're going to have this whole PSVR setup to then try to hook to your PS5. Like, and is it going to run those games better? It's weird. I'm not surprised we haven't seen anything from PSVR 2, but it also, if you really want one, I could see it being a little frustrating to not really know what the state of that is right now. I'm not really a VR person though, so.
They even announced, I mean, Hitman 3 was announced on a Sony PS5 live stream, and then separately, they were like, "Hey, also Hitman 3 is gonna get a VR support, like separate from the PS thing." And I kind of thought that that was a hint that there was going to be some VR announcements during today's PS5 event, but that turned out to not be a thing at all. But I mean, PSVR sold so well. There's no way that Sony's not considering a sequel for the PS5.
That's, I mean,
yeah, and every time I look at Resident Evil 8, for some reason I get PSVR vibes just because like that game was fully playable. Resident Evil 7 was, and so I don't know.
Seven was so good in VR. 7 was great in VR.
That also was like, that came out, that coincided with the PSVR launch. Like that was right around the same time. I imagine Sony drove a dump truck full of money up to Capcom's house. I like the idea that Capcom lives in a house, but it's the spooky house from RE7.
Mr. and Mrs. Capcom. They're home.
The Capcom household. But yeah, like I don't know, because they're not trying to launch PlayStation VR unless they are. Will they do the same thing again with RE8? That's like a really good question, because if they're trying to push PSVR 2, that would completely work. But yeah, maybe that. I mean, we also got like a Star Wars Battlefront like demo for PSVR.
The Squadron. Right? No, Battlefront. You're right.
Yeah, it was way back for the first Battlefront.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was cool. It was free. And it was great. And then it was just sort of like, what was that? It was like, I think that was just PSVR marketing money getting thrown at whoever made that, Criterion. Yeah, now Squadrons is fully playable in VR, I think. So I don't know. Let's go back to talk about some PlayStation 5 stuff. Let's talk about Demon's Souls. I want to talk about Demon's Souls.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Matt Kim, do you want to talk about Demon's Souls?
I'm so excited for Demon's Souls. I'm so excited for Demon's Souls. Have you seen that trailer?
That game looks so good. That looks
so good.
Today.
So good. It looks like butter. What the hell? Is that allowed?
Have you looked at the screenshots? Like, have you just looked at they look like, God, it looks so good.
I hope, I have a secret hope. So Blue Point, the really talented remake people, right? They added that little Easter egg area in their Shadow of the Colossus PS4 remake. There's a zone, right? There's a zone in Demon's Souls where in the game you go up there, you teleport using these little tombstone things, but one of the tombstones is broken, and so there's like a lot of speculation about this like hidden area that you can never achieve or reach or anything like that. But I kind of hope that Blue Point does a Shadow of the Colossus remake and kind of like throws an extra level in there that wasn't in the PS3 version, which would be sick. But
I hope if you go through a tunnel, there's a whole remaster of Bloodborne. You just like you go down a hallway and it's just Yharnam. You're like, oh,
what's that Metal Gear Solid 4 joke where you sleep and then you're playing Metal Gear Solid 1 and you can play it until you die, right? Do you guys remember that?
Oh,
or was that Metal Gear Solid 3? But either way, same thing, right? Your character falls asleep and it's Bloodborne, the whole thing in PS5.
It's just the entire game until you die. Though. Wait, but you die right at the beginning of Bloodborne. So,
hey man, don't
die a lot.
I didn't.
This game looks awesome. I didn't play the original Demon's Souls. Like I played it for like a second, but now I'm like I've kind of taken that trip into that world of FromSoft Soulsborns. One thing that bugged me is, and this is like this is like such like that neckbeard meme of being like Megan Fox has ugly thumbs. Like I don't like the font on the "You Died" screen. I think they should have used like a sans serif. Like I think that looks way too modern for what Demon's Souls is doing. I want like mystical curls and like fantasy letters.
What's that SNL sketch about Papyrus and Avatar? It's like he just used Papyrus for the Avatar logo.
That would be the one thing that would be worse than the font they used if they just used like Papyrus in Dark Souls. We remastered everything but the font. We just used a free one from Windows. It's fine.
I've never played Dark Souls. I've played Dark Souls. I played Bloodborne. I've never played Demon's Souls. It looks really, really good though. Really good. Tower Knight looks real tall.
Demon Souls is my third favorite Souls game after Bloodborne and the first Dark Souls. I think it's Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, Demon Souls. And then 2 and 3 for the rest of them. And I don't like Sekiro, so
do you guys want to talk about Resident Evil 8 and how it looks like it's somewhat directed by Tim Burton? Like, what was going on with that trailer?
Everyone keeps saying Tim Burton. That looks like the animated sequences from Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. But yeah, like they've got that weird.
I've never seen that movie.
You haven't seen it. You just saw Jurassic Park this year.
I have seen Jurassic Park now.
I have seen 12 movies.
Everybody knows that I am up to the double digits in movies I've seen now. Dinosaurs. But no, the trailer looks really, really good though. I just thought I don't know, it was weird. These like weird dreamlike sequences where all of a sudden they're like animated, and I don't know. The whole trailer was weird, but I liked it. Because I like Resident Evil.
So I didn't play 7 because I'm a gigantic weenie, but wasn't there a whole thing where you had to find like VHS tapes and those would kind of take you into little side stories?
Yeah, the best part of 7 in my opinion. Well, I really like 7, but one of the best parts is you're watching it's like a birthday VHS tape, and it's basically an escape room. You're trying to figure out, and you're looking at clues, and you're trying to solve all these things to like get out of this escape room, but you're not technically playing as Ethan at that point, if I'm remembering correctly. It's just like a VHS.
I think they're going to do that with picture books in this one. Like it seems as a way of contextualizing this sort of more fantastic. Like they've got a giant fairy tale castle, and they've got witches and werewolves, and it's like very. Like I remember when rumors leaked about this, people were like, "That sounds stupid." And it's like it's like freaking Castlevania. Get over it. Like Resident Evil's been stupid for quite a while now, but I think if they kind of like if they frame it as like, oh, this is like an old country. This is like weird old like folklore times.
It would be less stupid if they keep it that way. They're just like, hey, they're witches and werewolves, and it will be more stupid if they're like, they're witches and werewolves because of the W virus, the werewolf virus, and the witch virus.
I feel like they're still going to do that.
Like W virus and the plague is the reason why they have powers now, and I'm like, that's actually dumber than if there were just werewolves and witches.
Casey, are you just trying to pre-order PlayStation 5s over there?
Okay, so I was
I got one from Target 2 minutes ago.
I was
sorry if I
to
went
get
real
one.
quiet.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get one from Target, and it marked my credit card company marked it as fraud, so it didn't let the thing go
through. My second Walmart one keeps bouncing back, so I'm wondering if it's like they can track IPs and they can tell.
I used a different credit card on Target and just kept clicking place your order, and eventually it worked. So
we should wrap this up so we can go pre-order PlayStation 5s.
I'm so sorry, chat.
I'm sorry too.
Wow.
I mean, that's all they're talking about too. They're all talking about where to pre-order and if they get.
They said tomorrow. PlayStation said tomorrow, and Seth Macy said, "Hey, take my place because maybe they might go live today." And then I'm stressed.
And then Walmart was like, "Hey, here are the pre-orders. Just gonna ruin everyone's day."
I don't know. This is a mess. Oh, they're having a sale on those pink PS4 controllers. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. Matt, Casey, Mark, this is great. If you guys want more of Mark, head over to IGN's Twitch at 7 p.m. Pacific time, where he's going to be speedrunning the hell out of Mario and answering all sorts of. I feel like people are just going to crash that chat and ask you PS5 questions.
Yeah, I kind of was like, I don't really know what to do because the 3D collection, we had some videos go up at 6 a.m. And honestly, that feels like weeks ago at this point. And so it's very strange. I'm like, yeah, I really want to talk about PlayStation. I'm sure chat does as well. Here's Nintendo. Yeah. Let's do it, boys.
Well, if you want, I think I just got one on Target. Anyway, if you want more PlayStation chat, we are recording a brand new episode of IGN's Podcast Beyond first thing tomorrow morning. It'll be me and Jonathan Dornbush and whoever else is around and awake. And that'll be up on IGN. And we'll have presumably a whole lot more PlayStation 5 coverage as this year continues because it's a console launch year. We'll also be talking about Xbox. Like we say, we're all biased. Everyone's trying to pre-order both these things.
I mean, if Xboxes were available right now, we'd be doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, I can't wait to the stress I'm feeling now. I can't wait to feel it all again on Tuesday when I'm trying to pre-order 1 million Xboxes.
Anyway,
it's not, yeah. Anyways, it's fine.
thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. Unless you were mean in the chat, in which case, go to hell. We love you, the rest of you. Good night.
Good night.